We should appear, as if by magic, on YouTube. I'm sure we'll soon find out. There it is. No, it's there. What's coming out?
Oh, there we go.
Is it just a... No, there we go. There we go. So if I close that and open that again, everything should be good. So welcome, everyone, to Live News. It is, in the UK at least, Mother's Day. And this one's going out to all you mothers out there. So listen up, you bunch of mothers. And Sparkle has just done a top 10 with us, but has to go off and do other stuff. So he's not joining us for this, but you've got the other three. And what have we been up to this month? So we ditched Skype. This is the first month we've really tried out the new platform properly. A couple of little hiccups as to be expected. But we are using OBS Ninja, and it's so far not tried to improve our experience. So we'll see how it goes. Last roundup, everything just got a bit crazy in Feb. It's a short month, as you know, and some of it with various things going on, and our schedules just didn't get done as we would have hoped. So I threw
like certain psychos trying to start World War III.
Yeah, there's that. So I threw in a bit of an old top 10 pinball that prompted Diane Sauer's top 10 pinball innovations. So I played that again for you. Did you hear the hardware flashback, Scott? Did you recognize that?
No, I have not. I'm probably 3 to 4 months behind. Well, I'm right at the end of last year in listening to our home product. So no, I have not gotten to that yet.
Okay, but when you do, you might recognize it.
I imagine so.
I shall say no more. So, on the movie front, I watched a British movie called Official Secrets, which is pretty good. It's about the lead up to the Iraq War, were the WMDs, were the not, and all the shenanigans that went on there. And then I watched recently, ironically, I guess today, the Studio 666 movie, which is kind of like a comedy horror movie that the Foo Fighters put out. Where most of the members end up dead, which one of them did today, or was it yesterday? Taylor Hawkins, the drummer, has turned up dead, unfortunately. So, but the movie itself, if you like Foo Fighters, yeah, it's worth a watch. It's a bit silly and a bit spoofy, but it's meant to be. It's done tongue in cheek, and take it as such. You might get a bit of enjoyment out of it. There's one that's just come out I haven't watched yet. It's only on at the theatres at the moment, but it's just called X, and it's set in 79, and it looks like it's set in 79, kind of that old style look to the film, and it's about a group of kids, a couple of actors who go out to a farm in the middle of nowhere. They've kind of rented the space off this old couple who own the farm, and they've gone out there to shoot an adult movie. And then shit gets real while they're there. The trailer looks good. Whether the film lives up to it or not, I don't know. But I will see that at some point. Games-wise, Random posted this in our WhatsApp. A humble bundle, the ultimate racing sim bundle. So I picked that up. And as you know, it's a pay what you think it's worth kind of deal. But I got the full list of games, which was a pretty good lineup. Some of them I've already got, some I haven't. They were Automobilista, Assetto Corsa Ultimate, R Factor 2, NASCAR Heat 5, and NASCAR Heat 5 Ultimate Pass, Assetto Corsa Competizione, Drift 21, Automobilista 2, and a 3-month subscription to iRacing. So I picked that up. I've installed some of them. Haven't really had a chance to dig into them yet, but I shall look forward to doing that. And emulation-wise, I went back to some Amstrad CPC games. I just felt the need for some old 8-bit computer games, so I've been playing some of those. Some of them I've already played on the C64 or the Spectrum, but it's good to see how, the other system kind of did it. A lot brighter in most cases on the Amstrad, but there's some exclusive games on there, stuff like Wriggler that had an old girlfriend. Well, she wasn't old then, but an old girlfriend.
Girlfriend corrected that problem.
Yeah, had an old girlfriend who had an Amstrad with a disc drive, and we used to play Wriggler before we played another form of Wriggler most nights. So I've been going back to that as well. But interesting, just going back to a different platform and seeing what's up. And that, I think, is about my month.
Well, I want to say, Mike, you opened up with exactly what I was going to open up with. And I think it's probably fitting that we both say it. A random mad props, man. We have been on the Skype carousel for too long, and the ride was getting tiresome. Every time we'd log in to do a show, one of our experiences would end up getting improved. And it was becoming a real frustration to getting the recordings done. And, let's face it, it's obviously kind of a legacy platform. And it just wasn't, it wasn't terribly Linux friendly at times. So, I didn't know where to go with it other than, my only suggestion was like Teams or something like that, which works pretty well at work. So, Random jumped right on it, and within no time, he had whacked together a really, really workable interface. It is everything that we needed. It's literally a one-click deal. You put a URL in the browser, and enter a password, and you are on and done. And there's no configuration on your end other than you select the things that you want to select. I want this camera. I want this audio device. And you know what it does? It uses that camera and it uses that audio device. It's fucking magic. So that which the entire team of engineers at Skype could not pull off, Random organized a wonderful execution thereof that will no doubt improve the show's quality. So definitely want to, in front of the listeners, thank Dave for everything he put together there for us. So well done, man.
Not entirely all my work. I can't remember. I know me and Mike had talked about it probably a year or so ago as a potential option to try out.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. It was you that told me about it.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, wonderful execution. Other than that, gaming wise, I have not really been doing a whole lot more than when I get a chance, I've played a little Red Dead because I am progressing in that. It's going well. And I've been talked by a number of people that I respect their opinions. I've been talked into checking out Borderlands 2 and 3. So I'll be I got that. I got the Handsome Jack collection and number 3 for like the sum total of $20 off of brand new unopened. So I'll give that a go. We'll see where it is. I don't know when I'll have time to start it. Since Psychotic Madman decided to pretty much try and start World War III, and Putin's pretty bad too. My God, look, some things are just so stunning that you can't leave politics out of it. Watching Biden standing there with his mouth agape in front of troops that are like, and once you served, you can look at the room and you can read the mood. They don't want to fucking be there. They were told you're going to be in this fucking room. Report, and they're having to sit there, and all they want to do is throw the heaviest thing that they reach at this son of a bitch, and they can't. And the sheer frustration of that was very palpable. But the gawking, right before the mouth opens, and I'm like, what is it this time? And out comes, when you guys get to the Ukraine, you're gonna see this, you're gonna see that. And then they spend the entire day saying, oh, he didn't say that. I'm sorry, everybody heard it. And that coupled with the idiocy, coupled with the maniacal insanity of Putin is goddamn. When Boris Johnson is the voice of reason, along with the fucking French prime minister, that's wow, we've reached a certain point. But I gotta tell you, man, out of all this, as a veteran with combat service, the what they're doing, the Ukrainians, what their military is pulling off. I mean, their leadership is inspiring. I'm fucking jealous. Um, but what they're doing in terms of executing the fight against, I mean, it's the definition of asymmetric warfare. They're fighting a numerically superior enemy, incredibly outgunned, and they are knocking the shit out of those guys. I mean, even if they go down, they went down fighting, and that's hard to see in the modern world. So, tremendous performance out of those guys. The whole Ukrainian military and all the British and the American and the even French and Canadian forces that have headed in there to do training and augmentation and the number of the missiles, the man pads, which is your man portable air defense, your Stinger missiles. There's a couple other variants headed in there. The Javelin, anti-tank missile. The vast supplies of those that the civilized world has shoved in there have made the difference between life and death, literally so far. So, I'm not going to stop playing Tetris. I'm not going to throw a rock at the next, Russian I see, walking out of a Borscht restaurant downtown. But, I think obviously none of us are too keen on what they're doing to the world right now. So they can cordially go fuck themselves, in my humble opinion. So my job has gotten busy. When things like this happen, things like what I do tend to get really busy. The lives of a lot of people I know are on hold right now. I've got some friends in the 82nd over there right now who just got a big, giant fucking red dot put on their back when it was said that they might be involved in a unit movement. So not a good time for the world, that's for sure. And I think we're all feeling the effects of that. But, hey, at least COVID disappeared, didn't it?
Yeah, wasn't that a miracle?
That motherfucker went away real quick. You're all gonna die. Oh, we're good. And with Bill Gates just buying a $14 million oceanfront mansion that he said was going to be underwater in 8 years, I guess that's over too. We're all good. So,
I think so.
Let's party on, Wayne.
Yeah.
Nice. What have I done since missing the last month? Went and had a playmaking cinemas in the middle of nowhere again in Scotland. Nearly got a bit stranded in the car journey on the way there, as we'd seen the forecast for snow, and looking at it, we were like, well, yeah, the high ground when we're actually out and about, and then the few days that we're there, that's going to be bad. But at the low ground, the travel, that's just going to be like UK snow, where it kind of lands and then melts, and it'll be fine. And it got pretty fucking hairy at times. So that was it. That was an interesting trip. We nearly didn't actually get in to the place on the way there. It got dark. We weren't expecting to end up traveling, like walking in the dark, and it was, lots of delays. We ended up it being very dark, and also it was just deep snow, so you couldn't see any sort of paths that would have been there, and just kind of trying to walk through bogs with half a foot of snow on top. An interesting experience, but very fun. And then came back, and gaming wise, undernard a load about GT7. Ended up firing up GT6 again. Enjoyed a bit of that, so I fired up GT1 on handheld emulator. Enjoyed quite a bit of that, and then fired up GT2 and played an awful lot of GT2, even doing some of the endurance races through some of my boring meetings. So that was quite fun. That's surprised how well that holds up. It's the handling model trying to jump between 6 and 2 is quite a drastic difference in simulation quality, but it's still you can still definitely feel like the effects of downforce on cars and things, and it's still a thoroughly good time. What else have I played? Just got the new Kirby game. That's quite good fun. But sort of, it's also arrived at the same time as Tunic, which is like a modern indie game, but it's like a 3D isometric view, and it's very much kind of like Zelda 1 with some sort of Dark Souls elements to it. But it's got a really cool system where it teaches. It doesn't give you this, overly lengthy tutorial that you get in a lot of modern games. What you do is you find pages of the instruction manual, and they've made this manual. It is like a Nintendo manual, and it even then down to the point where it's got like biro annotations that someone has written on it and things like that. And some of it's in this own sort of in-game language, so you don't know what it says, but it essentially, as you find pages of the manual, it expands on sort of, here's some more moves you can do, here's some more of the map, here's where you should probably go next, and it kind of gives you all of these things in kind of a cool wrapper. So yeah, I've been sort of getting into that, and it's quite good fun. And a load of triangle strategy, which I had a bit of a rough spell with my illness coming back. And sort of at the start of that, where I just knew I was going to have at least a weekend doing nothing, was also when Triangle Strategy landed. So I just bought that and just played. I've played a hell of a lot of it. It's really good. It's basically Final Fantasy Tactics, but with sort of, if you think of sort of Game of Thrones story, essentially. Down to sort of one of the characters. His character portrait looks a lot like Littlefinger, and he is kind of a bit of a Littlefinger character. He's not been too prominent throughout it, which is a bit of a shame because I did like Littlefinger. But yeah, it's very much, warring houses and lords and so on. So yeah, that's been quite good. Lots of branching paths in it, so I probably will replay it quite a bit and see the other bits of the story. That's been sort of it, really. And then film-wise, while I was feeling ill, I watched the new James Bond, the latest James Bond, No Time to Die. Although only finished that off, the last sort of half an hour, 45 minutes of that today. It was pretty good. I'm not a massive Bond person, but it's certainly one of the better ones. And I've been watching over the past 6 months. I've been sort of going back through the old ones in order. And it's been interesting sort of watching them evolve. But yeah, some of the modern ones I've not been so keen on. But this was definitely one of the better ones. Good way for Daniel Craig to leave the series. And I went through a bit of a M. Night Shyamalan thing. So I watched Signs, The Village, and The Old. And they're not great, and they're not as they're certainly not as interesting as Sixth Sense was. There's this whole theory, it's like the M. Night Shyamalan paradox or something, where he basically broke cinema and broke his own films by putting people sort of realizing, oh, hang on, so there's going to be a twist, and so everyone then you don't watch the film watching a film, you're watching and trying to figure out where the twist is, and then it kind of ruins itself, and you can never basically recapture that magic. And yeah, I mean, no, Old was the best of those three, certainly, which probably isn't a surprise to anyone. The others aren't terribly highly regarded, but Old had some. It was just a bit weird. It was like a small episode of Lost in some ways. And then some strange choices of camera shots at times and things. It was all right. That's been about it, really.
So, quickly, have you guys been watching Snowpiercer?
No.
No, I started it ages ago, and then Amber sort of wasn't getting into it. And then I was like, right, okay, I'll watch that on my own and put it on the list, and I haven't gone back to it yet. It's definitely one I want to get into.
Well, I tell you what, they've definitely did a few things that were pretty formulaic. They definitely tried the whole woke socialism school thing for a moment and then veered out of that. But it seems like they found their footing and they decided to be less of social commentary and more like, sci-fi action. And because they weren't good at the other one. And it's really turned out to be pretty good. The last this season, they introduced a really neat storyline. They the whole premise is they're on this train that generates enough heat and light and all that, and but it has to keep moving. It can't like stop. So they're flying around the planet, like 3-4 times a year, and they stop at this rando place in Korea. And they're literally walking along and they fall through the roof of a building that's under the snow, and they're in a reactor and they find a survivor there. And so it was an interesting character. The actress that played her is Archie Punjabi. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She was in a really cool like air investigation thing. I suddenly can't remember the name of it, but it was like investigating air crashes. But anyway, so she was like playing this scientist that was there, and like shit wasn't really haywire. And then they killed her off in like 3 or 4 episodes on the train. But it's interesting how they're going so many different directions for something that's seemingly static. They're on a train. Fortunately, the thing's got literally 1,000 cars, so they have 1,000 different sets they can introduce. There's always the opportunity to bring new characters into play that were not in the car or the situation that they covered, because literally it's like the whole human population's on the train. The remnants of it. So anyway, I just think it's doing really good, and I think most of our listeners would probably enjoy it. So that's it. I just wanted to see if you guys had seen that.
Retro Hamer says in chat, has anyone seen Batman? I haven't yet. It's probably a watch at home for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm that stoked.
I'd like to watch it. Not enough to go out, spend lots of money on watching it probably. Well, I probably would actually. But I've been really crap at, like, I missed Dune. And some other things. I've just been sort of quite busy. Not really been in the prioritizing going out to the cinema at the moment.
Well, I'm going to prioritize some news and pick up one here from Nermix that I've been wanting to get. And this is a kind of a continuation of just a whole trend of videos that have been showing up over the last couple of years, where they make various random things gas powered, right? And I mean, some of these are special effects videos. A lot of these are real. And one of the coolest ones that I ever saw that I just had to build one was a gas powered blender. It was about 10 years ago I built one of those things. And it's just neat because, like, it's a blender, but it's got a gas motor. So people have done various things, and it's any size of motor that you can imagine. So principally like chainsaw, string trimmer, and in this case, a whole lot of model airplane motors. So, there's cool ones out there. Like somebody made one where they coupled a small, RC car motor up to a pencil sharpener. And that was kind of natural, But you got to remember, like, a lot of those things, like a pencil sharpener turns at like what, maybe 40 RPM. And a lot of these two strokes are, at idle, they're 10,000 RPM idle, and they go up to like 27,000 RPM, red line. So, obviously it's a bit of a mismatch. You can definitely generate electrical power with them. You just have to have the right relative ratio to drive a DC motor and then rectify that. And so people have hooked them up to like Xbox controllers and all. And yeah, you start it up and you're making 5 volts and you can power anything USB. So this video he sent in, somebody had done just dozens of devices, and the whole premise is like everything's gas powered. So like they get to work and they're all starting their PCs, and I think it's probably supposed to be some sort of commentary about why do we have gas powered cars when nothing else, it's silly everywhere else, right? But what it really is about 50 things I really want to build just to be cheeky. So
Yeah.
great video there, man.
I did watch that one. It's pretty amusing. We got one here from David Gyrick, and it is the PacMan Museum Plus, the official site for Pac-Man, video games, and more. So there you go. There's a new website dedicated to Pac-Man.
Cool. I've got another one from David Picklerick, which was one that I'd come across as well. And this was the Famitsu article where they did a big breakdown of all of the Xbox, hardware and software lifetime sales in Japan. And we all know it's not done particularly well in Japan, despite sort of at times Microsoft doing some attempts at strategies to make it bigger. But they'd basically, in 20 years of selling Xbox in Japan, they'd only sold 2.3 million consoles of like all varieties. Majority of those, 1.6 million, were Xbox 360s. And there was some other sort of nugget of interest. It's not on this link, and I can't remember where I saw it, but it was something daft like, there was a game that had come out and had been on sale for like 2 weeks, and had already outsold basically every Microsoft console in Japan. So yeah, kind of confirmation that it didn't really do for it. Xbox One was terrible. That was only 115,000, which has been the worst selling so far.
And for the most part, the Japanese simply don't give a shit about non-Japanese consoles or computers. I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
So, got another one here from David Gyrick, and I did watch this. So, this is about the massive community behind Guitar Hero, and there's, I think it's a PC port. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's basically Guitar Hero, but you can make your own tracks, and you can just make really insane tracks, and people upload videos of successful 100% playthroughs of just ridiculous songs. And there was a guy that had been cheating for years, and he was like one of the biggest people in this community. And it's an interesting video, if for no other reason than just how much some people love some games. It's just crazy, how dedicated they were to this one game. But they eventually caught him out cheating, and he came clean and said, yeah, I've been doing it for years.
Yeah, but the funny thing, like, these days, whenever there's a news article, I tend to kind of, I give it a look, and then I'll go down to the comments, because a lot of times it'll be like, police are struggling to find a motive, and somebody will post here's what the guy posted the day before. I'm going to go do this thing and kill these people,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, but they're struggling to find a motive, So a lot of times there's more information in the comments than there is the actual video. So I've gotten in the habit of looking at the comments. So I go in this, and one of the best comments here is by just some guy without a mustache. Points for a fucking username right there, okay? Then he says, I love your perfect exaggerated demonstration of faking a record by licking a controller and still getting the notes right. There's a lot of good, like people say here, got to give the dude props for admitting he lied, return the money, and leaving the community, blah, blah, blah. And then it just gets into some more comic absurdity. So, yeah, it's definitely, people get worked up about this stuff. It's pretty crazy. So, following on here on the Ukraine issue, John Romero has popped up, submitted here by Random Dave. John Romero is designing his first Doom 2 level in 28 years to raise money for the Ukraine. So he is he's released a level here, and you can buy it, and it says it costs £5. 100% of the proceeds go to the Red Cross. So, and the United Nations Central Emergency Response Fund. So a lot of the money will go to the refugees, and a lot more will go to limousines and jet flights. So,
and Hunter Biden.
Yeah, right. Holy shit! But Red Cross, pretty legit. So good on John, man.
I've got another one from the other Dave, and we were just speaking earlier on the top 10 about games that people like, presumably just because they're sort of Japanese, and that whole kind of, I guess, weeb to a degree. But this is a translation patch for the Takameki Memorial game on the PC Engine Heartthrob Memorial Under the Tree of Legends, which translates the animated intro, the sing-along lyrics for the intro and ending, and the confession scenes are now fully voiced too. It's a miracle, it says. So this is, I think it's a sort of dating visual novel game. If you're a fan of the series and you've been waiting for that translation, that's out there now.
Yeah, I did mean
if you're a fan of classic music played with classic video game sounds, well, Nurmic's got one for you. And it is Come On Eileen and it's all where the commas are. There's no commas here. So Come On Eileen, Pac-Man style. And what somebody did is they took the Pac-Man sounds and more or less played the song Come On Eileen. So pretty cool. I this one, not my favorite, I don't think, but I can imagine it being applied to some other songs and really being cool. So interesting idea.
Yeah, there's a channel on YouTube. Without clicking off that, let me find it here. And they do 8-bit remixes of popular songs and what have you. It should be. I should be signed into that account on this browser. 8-bit Universe. So if you're a fan of the one Nurmic sent in, check out 8-bit Universe on YouTube. And there's one here sent in by me. The rarest and most valuable Sony PSP games. We get these every so often from Racket Boy. And this one's no different. A lot of Japanese stuff. And the PSP is a system I owned, still own. And it was the emulation device of choice for a long, long time. And I did own a few original games, and I bought a few of the movies as well on UMD. I've given away most of those in the lucky dip now, but some of these games, in fact, they're pretty much all Japanese or titles that I've not really heard of. So you can have a scroll through that list at your leisure. There's nothing that's jumping out at me saying you've got to mention this one. Not the best list they've ever done, but a good site. You can lose quite a bit of time on Racket Boy.
And another one from UK Mike here that, wow, I mean, interesting choices in a list. And it's the best movie franchises of all time, ranked. So they've done it here sort of picture format. Lord of the Rings, it's good. Die Hard. I mean, Die Hard was amazing. And then there was like 6 follow-ons that weren't. So there's that. Alien, yes. I think one of the most solid sci-fi series in history. Jack Ryan, I don't know. The whole Jay and Silent Bob thing, absolutely agree. Dirty Harry, it was good at the time. Kind of falls apart. Terminator, fantastic series. Sorry about the ending and the death of the franchise. X-Men lost track halfway through, maybe even in the first one, didn't really care. Barbershop, no interest. Rocky, exceptionally well done. And it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Let's get down to what they say the number one is. Because Terminator was already mentioned and we're not even in the single digits. They got some Spider-Man, some Bourne. Road Warrior. Okay, I was getting ready to say they can just burn in a lake of fire, but no, they named Road Warriors number one. So this is definitely an eclectic group of people, as probably as eclectic as the list that put this thing together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a bit worried you were going to go like, what's number one? It's the Men in Black franchise.
Right?
Yeah, it's a list designed to invoke discussion. I certainly wouldn't rank them in the order they have. But some good ones on there. And one here, again from me, Google may be working on bringing Windows games to Stadia. Is that platform not dead yet? Is it still a thing?
I thought you used it as a doorstop, didn't you?
Actually, I use the controller as a USB controller. The controllers are the dog's bollocks. They are really good. I do like them. But the platform, I'm just waiting for the announcement that it's dead.
Yeah, I saw one thing where there was
What
the
were they
Windows thing
announced?
that came out, which, well, I think it was before the Windows one. They said, oh, we're going to pivot towards selling it not to home consumers, but try and market it to like publishers so that they can use it to like put demos out of games and things like that. And and use it for like if you've got E3 going on, then you can just put a load of content up for people to play at home, really easily in a browser. But then, sort of shortly after, the Steam Deck came along, and Valve proved that they can make Linux a viable gaming platform without the devs having to do too much work, and just handle it in Proton. Suddenly, Google were like, the big complaint that I've heard developers saying about Stadia was like, we can't be asked to make a Linux port just for Stadia. So presumably Google have gone, well, maybe we can just take the open source work of Valve and then just run that on them, and then people can just run their Windows games on the Stadia instances, and maybe they'll come along. So maybe that's what they're going to give as a last-ditch effort, perhaps.
Well, I mean, that or a doorstop, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How does it get to this, though? I mean, Random, you spent time in the industry. How does it get to the point of we're going to roll out this colossal dud? Did they not show it to people? Did people not say no? Did they not look at the history of other things? Was there not a point maybe where somebody in the room said, this is going to be a bomb, and they all turned around and glowered at him and shook their fists in the air?
Well, it probably they went, look, look at the cool concepts that we have. And someone came up with these really good ideas, like you can have zero latency, massively multiplayer online games by, you're not just connecting to the same server in your hemisphere to play with your friends. You're actually connecting all in the same data center, all hooked up by, InfiniBand fiber, and everything's hosted in that same rack and things like that. Or being able to multiplex multiple server blades and then do crazy things, or use the feature which they used once, I think, where you can take you're playing a 4-player multiplayer game, and you can have all of your friends' video feeds piped into your picture-in-picture into your feed and things like that. And there's all these cool things that were possible with it. And I wonder if they possibly did say, look, we've got all these cool ideas, and someone was like, yeah, that's great. And then it then went to like marketing and accounting, and they went, right, so what we're going to do is we're going to charge people like this much per month if they want this tier of it, and then also they have to buy the games outright that they're not going to be able to have any permanence on. And then everyone else just probably shook their heads and walked away and just couldn't believe what was happening, and it probably just got broken by C-suite meetings and things. I guess I don't know, but Gaikai on Live, failed, but you could argue they were a bit before their time. The infrastructure wasn't there. Luna, Amazon's one, hasn't really gone anywhere. But
I honestly can say I've not heard of it, so apparently it has.
Microsoft's cloud stuff seems to be doing okay, but that's because they're offering like more of the service that you'd want. So, you're not just paying just for the cloud access, you're paying for Game Pass. With that, you get, Xbox Live Gold. You get all these games that you can play on a PC and on your console. But then also, for convenience factor, you can then play them, the cloud versions, when you need to, you know, whether you're traveling or one of my mates does it. It's sometimes when we're playing games together, his wife's using the telly, his PC's busy doing something else, so he'll be able to just connect to us, you know, just with a browser on something else. And, you know, it's enough. It's not the perfect experience, but it's enough to get him in and playing with us for the evening and things like that. So that's kind of all bundled into a reasonable subscription model. And you get to play, you know, games that you do own, but you also get to play games that are on the service for free, you know, and included with it. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that comes out, you know, big titles coming out day one. So that's kind of sticking around. And maybe, you know, it's doing the best of it. The others have all kind of run themselves into the ground a bit. Although I think the NVIDIA GeForce one's doing quite well as well. And that's certainly the best quality of them all. It used to have the best flexibility because basically you're just logging into a PC somewhere and then you just log into your Steam account or your Epic account or your Origin account. And so anything that you do own, you just run basically there as if you were running, you know, it was your own PC that you were running. And I think that's done especially well with the graphics card pricing being where it is. It kind of works out cheaper to just pay for 2 years worth of NVIDIA cloud hardware. And that still works out better than if you'd have tried to buy a graphics card. And then in that 2 years, hopefully by then, you know, things will have settled down and you can actually buy a graphics card for your PC again. So yeah, I think there's just a lot of mistakes Google made, really. Certainly the hardware that they chose for it, making it all Linux. I can see why they've done it, but also it was a big sort of barrier for entry for a lot of people wanting to develop on it.
Well, they certainly train wrecked it.
Yeah.
Got one here from David Gyrich, the TMNT Collection. So this seems to be pretty solid. I think it's a nice bundle. The Cowabunga Collection packs 13 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. So it's the let's get down to the collection here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time Arcade, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles NES, and then 2, 3 Tournament of Fighters Turtles in Time. So basically, it's all the Game Boy, Genesis, SNES, Super SNES, and arcade games all in one cluster. It'll run you $39.99. And hopefully physical copies. I would, I already have the Ninja Turtles arcade machine sitting right out here. I've already got every one of these games that I can play, but you put it in a nice, case and put it out there, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I can imagine it'd be something that probably limited run will do as a physical version. And they usually do pretty good special editions, so I'll keep an eye out for it. And if it pops up, I'll fire the link your way. Swinging it back to Putin again. And this is an interesting one that Russia, in sort of retaliation to a lot of the sanctions and limitations that they've had put on them, I think they've passed it now. They've changed the law to basically allow software piracy in the country. So if they basically said, look, if you're not going to be able to use Microsoft and Adobe products and anything else, then they're not going to sell you movies and games. Fuck it, pirate it. We're not going to prosecute anyone. So that's kind of cool in some ways.
Yeah.
Interesting approach. So this one, I think, oh boy, we might have to spend a few minutes on this one. So much so,
Is it the Amico?
It's the Talarico Chameleon. Oh boy. Okay, here it goes. So David Gyrich sent this in, and it's been out there in other places and whatnot. And I think it's possible that Tommy may surpass SoCal as one of the greatest owners of a disaster in video gaming history. I didn't think anybody ever passed SoCal just because of his obstinance and obtuseness in the face of his obvious incompetence and inability. And the fact that he decided to challenge people that he knew would eat him for breakfast. So he, I don't know, man, Tommy here, certainly there's SoCal in the end was the only person who lost anything. But he really did what he did with under $100,000 of financial damage. And that's not adding up people's labors and times and, how much was consumed, just sheer dollars, less than $100,000 worth of damage. Unless you want to count his house that he lost, and his car. And, well, maybe it is. I don't know. But definitely the Talarico Chameleon has now reached into the millions. So, article here from 1 March, not the most recent update on this, but pretty solid article over at Eurogamer. And it says here that Intellivision has cut its latest fundraising campaign for the still unreleased Amico console and has more alarm bells ringing over the troubled machine's future. The Amico, designed as a low-spec console with a family focus, was announced in 2018. So it gives the history. It's been delayed 3 times. No sign of a launch in sight. We're still a recent SEC filing highlighted significant debt for Intellivision and suggested that, having made no revenue since its inception, the company may not be able to operate beyond July 2022 without additional funds, despite 6,000 pre-orders for the Amico still being unfulfilled. So he had 6,000 pre-orders, has fulfilled none of them, took money for each of them, took millions from elsewhere, and does not have a console to show for it. There's literally nothing. There's some plastic molds. There is some dev units that were hand assembled. There is not a production line. They have not delivered anything. And that's where they're at. So the SEC filing preceded another round of fundraising for the Amico, in which the company was looking to raise $5 million through the Start Engine. 21 days into the campaign, however, Intellivision has now called time, raising just $58,000 from 54 investors. So they go out there, they raise $58,000 seeking $5 million, and then just decide to call it. I guess they've got private funding and won't have to go to crowdsource. ARS Technica culture editor Sam Makovich noted Intellivision decisions to close the campaign early and take the money rather than holding out the full 3-month term is a bright red flag. Yeah, it is. So they took they couldn't get $5 million, but they got 50,000. So they took that and ran and shut down the campaign. I don't think we're getting anything at this point. So Tommy stepped back as CEO. Phil Adam, the same person in charge of the Coleco Chameleon, is running this now. So, yeah, I think it's over. I think that money is just gone. And I think the Talarico Chameleon, as it shall henceforth be known, didn't set out to be a fraud, but I think at this point it's impossible to say it hasn't become one. So I think at this point the least we can do is remind people that Tommy also runs Video Games Live, and if that comes to your town, probably not a good idea to put money in his pocket to see it. Let him choke on this thing. Let him fucking lose his house. Let him lose his car. Let him fucking burn. Because I'm tired of these people that make these, and he made willingly deliberate wrong decisions when he knew that he needed to get that thing out the door. He delayed, and that delay got him into the whole COVID period, the shortage period. Then the prices rose beyond what he was originally charging, and he cornered himself. And then instead of just doing the right thing and eating the loss, hoping the thing would survive on its own merit later, he goes and asks for more money, knowing he had nothing to deliver. And that seems to be the bottom focus. There's two companies right now that I can honestly say are really, really in this similar boat. One is in television, whatever the hell they want to call it. And the other is Persum, who make the Librem 5 Unix phone. They are now like 5 years without a product delivered. And can they spend time telling you the proper way to send an email to them, how to calculate your estimated shipping date, how to do this, how to do that. And they haven't shipped. I haven't gotten a damn thing. And I don't know anybody that has. So I think those two are some of the leaders. But certainly Tommy has placed himself and in television as one of the number one fraudulent scam companies out there now. So fuck them. That's what I have to say. How about you guys?
Well, they did a very exciting email blast recently. I got it, and it was the unboxing video. Nothing was final. The artwork's going to change. This is going to change. That's going to change. But here's an unboxing video of an Intellivision Amico that doesn't quite exist yet, and you may or may never see. But we
Give
got
us
one.
$8 million.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I can't see the thing ever making it, to be honest. I think now it's just all about people who put money in recouping their investment, and I think that's the end goal.
Which won't include anybody that ordered it.
No. No.
Did you do? Was it last month that you covered the bit where there's one of the investors had loan the money, had a clause, a sort of recoup clause where $100 of every unit sold.
Yeah, until he gets his money back.
Yeah.
It's just
it's just not. There's no way it can. Even if it was a product, it's not a viable product.
No. It's
no,
crazy.
I think at this point he needs to be treated as the pariah he became in this hobby, and I think Mr. Talarico needs to pack his bags and go to some other place, maybe work for a living at this point. Yeah, because certainly he has joined the ranks of the scammer elite.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to lose his house or his car though.
I don't know when that Video Games Live income stops coming in. What's he got?
Yeah, I guess. Uncle Steve.
Yeah. And Phil needs to go back to teaching volleyball or whatever the hell it was he was doing.
One here from Thomas. It's not a name that I recognize from previous newses. If it's your first one, thank you. If it's not, and I've missed the others, I apologize. But this is a mid-'80s high school computer club photo. The group call themselves System Violators, and it looks like a still from what's the movie, Breakfast Club.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. So thank you, Thomas, for that. There was one that I sent in. I haven't watched the video yet, even though I sent it. It's a video on the BBC, an interview with a console scalper on stockpiling PlayStations for profit. So you can watch that.
Is this the one where they're going on about how their network has helped people put food on the table in the pandemic, or is this a new one?
I don't know. Like I say, that I haven't watched it, and that one doesn't sound familiar either. So maybe I need to go and watch some scalper videos.
Oh, whole new wormhole, rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
Van life and
video.
scalper videos.
It beats shopping halls, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Grocery halls. Another video sent in by Neil. He says, here's a nice 2-hour-long Lemmings documentary. I haven't watched it yet, but it's probably quite good. I also haven't watched it yet, but was thinking about it. And I had actually forgotten about it, so I shall try and watch this maybe this week. See what it's like. I do like a bit of Lemmings.
Yeah, me too. I've not got around to watching that. It's about 2 hours long. It is a full-length documentary, so I just haven't had the time to sit down and watch it. One here, sent in by Charlie. It reads like a George Lutz submission. Jerk off at
I was
work
going to say, speaking of things I like to do,
with VR. And this
Speaking
is
of where the money went in television.
this is a company. I don't know if it names them. I did read through this. The Cyprus-based adult website Strip Chat. There you go. That's who it is. They've installed some employee pods with VR headsets for their employees to go and masturbate in. Now, if there's something I don't want to do where one of my colleagues has been and done, I think you could count masturbation pretty high on the list. It's bad enough sharing a bathroom, never mind a VR masturbation pod, but horses for courses, I suppose.
And if there isn't one of these in the fucking Intellivision headquarters, then I'll eat my ass.
better hope they've got some showers as well as their lawyers
Yeah.
after that.
How's production going on the board, Tommy? I'm going to a meeting. Meeting's over. So got an oddity here. Mr. Lanky sent this in, and I've actually seen this before. It tends to get written like every 5 years or so, but here we are. Definitely an iconic piece of software in America. Mavis Beacon teaches typing. That showed up everywhere. And the funny thing was, of course, it gave an error. It's like when they had Pepper 2. Well, I mean, I guess it was good enough for a sequel. So Mavis Beacon teaches typing is there was no Mavis Beacon. Turns out the Mavis Beacon was a lady that was working at a cosmetics counter, and somebody looked at her and said, hey, you know what? We could put her photo out there and say she's teaching typing. And so Mavis Beacon cooking software. So Mavis Beacon is not a real person, and neither is Mavis Beacon. But yeah, clever, isn't it? Just make up a person, and it sort of humanize the software. Now, if you're looking at two different things on the rack, one is simply typing tutor, and the other one is this lady's going to teach you how to type. You might kind of go for the one that has that approach. So clever people, very clever. And, you know, pretty cool for her that just standing there one day and all of a sudden someone walks up and says, hey, you want to be the face of software? So.
Yeah.
Nice. Another one I sent in, which was an article about F1 management games when they had their surreal golden era. I sent it in saying that the music in Microprose Grand Prix Manager was amazing. Really, really cool sort of background chill tunes to play with while you're playing that game. But I didn't really play any more. I always meant to try the EA one, but never did until sort of more recently Motorsport Manager, which was pretty cool, but not sort of strictly F1. Although it kind of really was based around, you could tell all the teams were sort of based loosely on the current at the time teams. But yeah, it's a nice little article sort of summing them all up as we're heading into, we must be up due for the release of the actual new official F1 management game. I think it might be June, actually, by Frontier, who do all the Tycoon games now. I think they do. So that could be quite good. Worth keeping an eye on.
Wow, got one here that was submitted by Neil. Fake GameCube becomes real GameCube. And it says here, I did a fake video. No, I'm sorry. If I fake... Hold on, let me reread this. Holy crap. If a fake photo of a fake handheld bugs you so much, you should just build a real version. That's what this guy did. So, more or less, he saw a portable GameCube, and it shows the lid flipped up. There's the controls, and he thinks it's really cool, but it's fake. So he says, well, let's just do that. So he takes apart a GameCube, gets all the bits that are necessary out of it, 3D prints a case, comes up with a PCB, so all the controls and Everything else can interface. He comes up with a charge controller to 2 lithium batteries to power the whole thing, and puts together a portable GameCube. And because the controls are all, on a PCB that, is basically the controller. It's hard. I don't know. It's hard to explain. The way he packaged everything together is slick. And I think it could have been maybe a little smaller. He used some big pieces and some big techniques that I think didn't really have to be there. It could have been maybe 50% smaller, but still just a beautiful, amazing effort. I mean, he built it and there it is. It looks great. So I'd give this video a watch. It's well worth your time.
Definitely. And something else that is worth your time.
Shaving your balls.
Shaving your balls.
If you have the time.
Are you looking for the gift that keeps on trimming? Of course you are. Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, have got you covered, or should I say, uncovered. Check out the Performance Package 4.0, and that includes the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant, moisturizer, and toner. Not only that, but you also get a pair of Manscaped anti-chafing boxers. And as it so happens, I'm not going to show you, obviously, I'm not SoCal, but I've got mine on right now. I've had them on all day. I really like them. Someone asked us in WhatsApp, was it this week? Or was it an email? Anyway, no, Discord, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was in our Discord channel. If you're not there already, make sure you join. They said, is the Manscaped good stuff any good? Why are they sponsoring every single podcast? And I said, well, I think they've just gone through the podcast index and emailed everyone on there. But I really do like the boxers, and I'll probably buy some more pairs of them. So, yes, they are really good. And if you visit manscaped.com and use the discount code RGRoundup, you will get 20% off. 20% off with the discount code RGRoundup. And I think you should do it today. Do yourself a service and get the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Free shipping. Did I mention that? I don't believe I did. 20% off plus free shipping with the code RGRoundup at manscaped.com. Thank you for their service.
Indeed.
And here's something that has an equally sketchy link to gaming, as pointed out by Neil. He says, this has a very tenuous link to retro gaming. But here's a video of someone reloading a bunch of household gadgets as if he were the main character in an FPS, or Doom clones, we used to call them. I didn't bother tracking down the source of the video, but the Twitter link is good enough. And he's damn right. It's good enough, and we're glad to have it. So this guy here, he's got like a toaster. So he picks up the toaster, flips it down, pops in the bread, and racks the lever, and he's done. Guy here's got a Colt gun, and he pulls a brilliant, nice Colt. He takes a Colt gun, racks back the rod, dumps out the empty Colt, puts in the full one, collapses the rod, turns it back around, charges it, and it says, "Nice Colt." It's got like a kid's entertainment center here where, it's like a piano and you press the button and Elmo and Big Bird pop up. So he's got that. You know what? Pretty darn clever. It's 51 seconds of back-to-back action. So very well done.
Yeah, it did make me laugh that when it came in.
Cool. Got one here from David Gyrick again, and he says war has consequences, and this is Nintendo deciding that it's probably not the best time to release a remake of a couple of games which revolve around rolling into somewhere with tanks and capturing cities. I just think it's possibly not the best time for that. So Advance Wars is going to be delayed indefinitely.
One here from Andrew Hannay, not a news item as such, merely a comment. As I mentioned at the top, we reran an old top 10, the Pinball Innovations, and he says, has it really been 12 years since the Pinball Innovations top 10? Now I feel old. Well, Andrew, yes it has, and if you feel old, you probably are old, so nothing we can do about that, but yes, it has been that long. And later on this year, I have some news for you about the show and how long we've been doing it and who did what to whom and all of that. So, but that will come.
Touch anyone.
that will come later in the year, probably July. So one here from What's on My Shelf, and he entitles it. She entitles it. I don't know. Could be a she. Could be a he. Could be a mix of the two. It could be anything these days. They entitle it. She titles it China Hacks, and he says, "Yes, they do indeed." Hello again. Maybe out of boredom, maybe out of some misguided sense of skirting international copyright law. Does China follow these? Maybe out of anxiety stemming from the urge to create something as quickly as possible without having to create things like art, gameplay systems, or how things are placed in game memory. The Chinese hack. And this page, he says, briefly goes over games which you could probably ignore and be all right with the world. However, if you're bored and want to see what kinds of wares, with a Z, the Chinese are selling in their not-so-hush black markets, this site covers some odd ducklings, like Super Mario World 7, Mattel gear. It even posts the ROM dumps. And the link, of course, will be in the show notes, as will the links to every item we discuss this evening, this afternoon, this morning, whenever you're listening.
How many drinks have you had?
A couple. This one's going down quite nicely, though. It's nearly bedtime.
It's a race to the finish.
Yeah.
Can Mike hold it together before we're done recording?
One of the wheels is starting to wobble. There's one here, Scott. Did you miss it? It might be, I don't know if it's you or random. Oh, no, yeah, World of Warcraft. This is God of War TV show. Anyone seen anything about that?
Well, we can partner that one up with the Resident Evil Netflix series.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like God of War and Resident Evil, along with The Witcher, are, on TV here.
Yeah, the God of War thing is, sort of Sony. They've had a bit of success with Uncharted, which, although not sort of critical success, it has to be said. But I think it's done all right for them, and they feel like they want to do more of that, I think. We've just had the Halo TV series come out as well, so everyone's sort of getting back on the multimedia train again, it seems.
Have any of you watched any of these things?
No,
I've watched the Witcher stuff,
I just
but
don't
then
see
that's
how well.
books more than the games. Not watched Uncharted. I watched the Resident Evil film, the rebooted one.
Oh, I've not watched that.
Wasn't good.
No, I didn't imagine it would be. I'd watch the series though, I guess, until it goes off the
I'll
rails
check
like
it out.
Walking Dead did.
Yeah. I mean, Castlevania was really good. That was well worth them making. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Whether the God of War thing will happen, might do.
And there's another one thrown into the mix here by David Gyrick, Tekken anime. Not something that I think I'll be following up on. But thank you for sending it anyway.
The thing is, I like the idea of video game based TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I mean, one of the things that I thought was a kind of a successful failure. I suddenly can't remember the name of it. It was PS3 era. More or less, he had these aliens called the Votons that was a mixture of different alien species. They show up on Earth, and they more or less kind of invade the Earth. Everything fights to a stalemate, and then now they're kind of like living with the humans, right? And or as I recall it. So they made a video game, and the idea was the video game and a TV show were going to have a lot of crossovers and events that would happen on the video game platform as it happened on the show and all. And it didn't really go anywhere. I
Armored
think
Trooper.
No, that wasn't it. Remember the guy had like his daughter was a half alien and all that, and anyway, it just I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's like right there on but I just can't recall it. Anyway, it was one of those deals where I wanted it to succeed. I think it had a pretty decent approach to it. It wasn't perfect, but they just let it all fall apart. And I don't know. I mean, like the whole Halo thing. I love the idea of a Halo series. I like the legend, the lore. I just think it's a cool franchise that could make an amazing series. I just somehow don't trust that they will. And that's true of, some, and they pick these all like Tekken. I mean, I don't know. There's
Defiance. Was it Defiance?
There's something there that could be done. I just don't think that these are that thing.
Yeah. Was it Defiance?
Yeah, I mean,
Defiance. That's it. Yes.
In terms of Tekken, like this, I know a lot of people do like where the story sort of went with Tekken. You don't really think of fighting games necessarily as having a story, but certainly there's fans of the way the Mortal Kombat whole sort of lore has gone through it, and like Tekken, and essentially the cutscenes are anime already. So are they just going to sort of essentially remake all the cutscenes and have, because like one of the characters throws another one into a volcano or something at the end of one of them, and all this sort of stuff, which is how they sort of get away with mythologizing the rosters changing and new people coming and people disappearing and things. So maybe they'll just do that sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I love the idea of video games having successful TV shows. I just don't think these are going to be the thing. So we'll see, but maybe they catch on. But even if they catch on, I don't think these are the ones I wanted to see. So, I
still would like that Fallout, a decent Fallout to come out.
Dude, I would love. I mean, like we're talking Fallout 4, prime of the series, a Fallout 4 series, a Fallout series that is true to the game and has the funding to do things like the power armor effectively, to where they actually shoot in a broad, get out, shoot in the wild. They made a ton of series in Vancouver over the last decade. Like they filmed Falling Skies there, Handmaid's Tale, all kinds of stuff gets made there. I think the terrain, the wooded areas, a lot of the stuff they have there in Canada would make actually a pretty cool set. And since it's, winter, fall, spring, a little bit longer there, you would have more shooting opportunities for maybe sort of a gray, leafless kind of, world, I think that they could film a hell of a version of this thing, man. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, supposedly it's going into filming this year. So hopefully they'll do it justice.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just think my hope for that is so low these days that I just presume failure. So if it's not, it's a novelty.
Yeah.
So one here from David Gyrich, he sent in a video by fellow Spawnwave. I've seen his stuff, on YouTube quite a bit. And he talks about the disadvantages of the inevitable digital future. And I agree. I haven't seen the whole video, but the bits of it I have seen and reading, I think it's exactly what I've been saying. So, like for example, one of the things he sort of focuses on here for a good chunk of the video. So, Halo Infinite's physical disc does not contain a full game. And then here's the hyphen in the headline. Does Xbox really care about game preservation? Apparently fucking not. I mean, if your disc doesn't actually contain the game and you must have online connectivity. So if, let's say 2032, I want to take out Halo Infinite, throw it in the Xbox, and I want to reinstall and play that game as it originally was. Not going to happen. Can't do it. Not for any price. So will people find ways to snipe the code? Yeah. Is it eventually going to get somehow like, and the thing is, we'll literally be doing the third decade of RGR, and we're going to be 68 years old. And we will be having this discussion and say, hey, Microsoft promised to release the discs. They never did. But this guy here, Joe Michelson, he worked at Microsoft. He has 2 of the hard drives that the Halo Infinite was developed on, and he's actually gone back and reassembled the code. And they released Halo. Oh, he just got sued by Microsoft, and now he's in prison. And that will be what gaming is in the future for preservation. So, I don't like where it's headed. I won't buy digital only. I'll only buy physical. And no, I'm not going to be tricked by by a fake disc that doesn't contain a game, constituting physical. So,
what if it was a physical game that had like a NFC tag in it to a URL that doesn't exist and will never exist?
Well, in that case, hurry up and take my money.
Oh, that reminds me, actually. Yeah, something that I watched on CE Podcast the other day was that the developer of 2 of the Amico titles, which have been sold as physical versions, went filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Like sometime last year, shortly before Tommy went round to a load of toy fairs and shows presenting the games as though they're going to get finished. So yeah, that's an interesting bit to it.
So another one here from David Gyrick, who apparently watches a fuck ton of YouTube gaming documentaries. This one is about Black Mesa, the 16-year project to remake Half-Life. That's another one that's on the watch list, and I've not set aside 2 hours to go through yet, but I will do at some point. And one I watched on YouTube, is it the Metal Jesus one? No, it's the 8-bit guy. I think Metal Jesus might have done one since. It's the A500 Mini, which is making it out there. I don't know if they're all purchasing them or some are review units, but I think they're out there and available now. I know Scott would be after one.
Well, you know what? I do have the Commodore Mini, and it's exactly where it has been from day one in the box, other than just pulling out. Now, don't worry, don't get me wrong. I fucking love the C64. I have got the C64, their product, the full-size one with the functional keyboard. It's right here. It's right, literally, I can reach my hand, and it's right there. It is a fantastic, as I said, once in a decade, amazing piece of hardware. And I have no doubt that the new Amiga will be the same thing. It'll be like an Amiga, only it'll be the equivalent of buying an Amiga, doing all of the most expensive upgrades, all the chip RAM, all the video RAM, the AGA graphic, everything. It's like doing that, but it's all in one box and it all works. It's just, I have no doubt that the same guys that did the C64 are going to kill it with the Amiga. So I honestly, I will probably buy a Mini at some point. But I did email him. I said, look, not terribly interested in a Mini. When does the full-size one arrive? I have, the C64 and love it. I can't wait. As soon as the full Amiga gets out, I hope it doesn't follow the path of buffoonery and unavailability that the C64 did. It is still rare and infrequent that one is available for sale on the official purchase channel for the U.S. The one I got almost 2 years ago, which was a return that was listed as, not a return on Amazon. And I think it was a little problem with the joystick, easily fixed. But they're not readily available, and it's been almost 2 years. So that's not good. I'm certainly hoping that the Amiga gets out there available. I don't want to chase this thing for 2 years. I just want to go and buy one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'd make more money if they actually had product to buy. So, you know, it's a winning combo. You make something and have it available for purchase, and people have the money and say, I'll take one of those. It's unbeatable in the history of commerce. So I love these guys. Their quality control, their workmanship, their passion is evident. And I sure as heck hope I can get an Amiga soon. So we'll see. I won't hold my breath. I doubt it'll be anytime soon, but I'm definitely enthusiastic and can't wait to get a hold of one.
Yeah. Apparently the mouse is just a normal USB mouse, obviously shaped like the Amiga Tank mouse, but you can use it in a PC. It's a bit smaller than the original, but it got high praise.
Just want to say Mike Garcia has come into chat and he says that Wasted Studios, who are the Amico games developer, they've not fully liquidated. They just ran out of money and it triggered a government process. They confirmed via Twitter that they're still operating. So
in Ted's closet.
presumably they're going to get paid by Tommy sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I wonder if he has one of those tear-off shares of stock like Kennedy did.
How many you want? 5, 10, 15, 20? I've got all denominations.
Got one here I sent in. This is Ken and Roberta Williams, who founded Sierra Online. Claim they got a bit bored over lockdown and decided to start making working on a game again for the first time in 20 years. And they're going to make a 3D remake of Colossal Cave, which I believe they're going to put out for free because they don't own it and whatnot. So yeah, that could be a nice little thing to keep an eye on for fans of the old adventure genre.
And a company that made some great games as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one here from Carl Klitsky that I can only describe this and sum up as no.
No.
Stop it. Just stop it. So, buy a real Supreme pinball machine for $6. All right. Not the game, but they're selling 10,000 shares of a machine for $6 a piece. Trade with friends. Also, you can't go play it or even look at it. So there we go. An already ridiculous pin gets more ridiculous. So over here, they have this article. So there's a company called, I guess, Rally Road. They sell shares of luxury goods and NFTs. So apparently they decided, okay, we'll take a pinball machine and we'll sell shares of it. Now they put a market cap on it, reasonably so, of $60,000. So they have a pinball machine that they sell 10,000 shares of at $6 a piece. So you own this tiny share. Now I imagine you don't have any control over it, but you're guaranteed revenues of future sales, meaning that this pinball machine that's worth, say, $6,000 would have to sell for more than $60,000 for you to get a 1/10,000th of that profit. I just stop it. This is pure idiocy. Pinballs are great. It's a great game. It's great fun. I have a bunch of them. They're fun to play. At no point do I think it's at all sensible to buy for $6 a couple of bytes sitting on a drive that say you allegedly own a portion of this game. This is just stupid.
I can prove it. I've got a piece of paper.
And if we all got together and, between 4, 5 of us or whatever and said, right, let's all buy a pinball and then we'll keep it at Mike's house and then we'll all just go around there and play it when we want, that would be all right. That would be a cheap way to get one. But yeah.
Oh, I'm letting other people buy mine now. I mean, I will literally buy a pin, put it on location, let people put money in it, and then until it's paid off. But that's one person sourcing hundreds of people to pay for their pinball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And obviously the trade-off is they play the game and, put some wear and tear on it while it's, out there on location. But I get a game for free, so great. But, yeah, this is just madness. I mean, no.
Nope. Well, from no to yes. The Texas Pinball Festival 2022 is back. They've cancelled for a couple of years for obvious reasons. And it's this weekend, so you've missed it. Or maybe you didn't, and you're listening to this later thinking, no, I did not miss that. But they're back, and hopefully more expos will follow.
So, got one here from, Mike James. And he says, I don't know, I'll have to find out how true this is, that he Googled green toy soldiers. And the results are way cooler than he thought it was. And he's got pictures of, like, Civil War soldiers riding dinosaurs in the battle. And he's got a guy crushed by the mousetrap. There is, however, like a trolley bus outside of a Walmart with a guy with a bazooka siding in. So that's cool. Yeah, and it goes on from there. All sorts of miniatures. The one with them crawling out of the digital audio cassette player is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike's been on the internet and he'll share with you what he found.
Is it? I can't remember if it's Army Men or Lego Men. But you ever seen the one where there's like a set of dress? I think it must be Lego Men dressed as explorers, all heading into a vagina. That's fantastic.
Wonder what they found. They all bang their head on the clitoris. Oh, what's that doing there? Oh, dear.
Where'd Random go? He went around back.
He'll meet us on the inside.
Is that you over there, buddy? Yep. Good, didn't it?
Oh, dear. And we have one left. Sent in by Chris. No other name needed. It's just Chris.
Good enough for me.
He says, sad to hear. At least a bunch of photos still exist, and this is a Ukrainian retro PC museum destroyed by Soviet bombing. And you can read the article, and I assume look at the pictures. If I agree to their cookies and all that shit in my dirty browser, I can't see any pictures. But anyway.
No, I don't either.
That's the news item. I'm sure there are pictures somewhere.
There's a few. If you click on the Twitter photo, it shows you computers from the 50s to 2000, nearly 20 years in the making, destroyed by a Russian bomb.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, well, a bit under the link that says chronicling his collection of exhibits online for some time now. That's highlighted. Like the last paragraph. Well, no, it's not the last paragraph actually. Almost the last paragraph. That links to a a Cyrillic language website with lots and lots of pictures of old stuff.
I'm sure I've got something laying around that would be something that they had in there. I'm looking at. I mean, definitely have a couple things here that they could use. Let's circle up and talk about doing something for them. They definitely deserve some help. That is, I mean, think of how many things like that are just getting. I mean, not just video games because we care about it, but how many community efforts like that are just getting turned into rubble?
And in Sheffield as well. We should raise money for Sheffield.
Too far gone. This one's recoverable.
Yeah.
Where it is, they're just going to haul it.
Save next Blackpool.
Well, I was going to say they're just going to haul over to Blackpool and dump it in the bay to fill it in a bit. So
yeah.
Actually, I like Sheffield. I think it's a great little place.
No comment.
That's all right.
Well, I finished my drink, so that means one thing.
bedtime.
You need another one.
No, it means two things. I need another one, and we finish live news. So I
It
will.
does just at that.
Heads up, searching army men vagina doesn't really get you the pictures that you were trying to think of.
If you're at work listening to this podcast, you should Google that. It definitely works out.
Yeah, definitely Google that.
It's a scribble. Drunken UK Mike is great.
So
Also, toys exploring vagina doesn't really get it either.
I think that'd be a widespread topic.
hey.
All right, boys. Well, I guess that wraps it up then for our latest live news and top 10 mega session.
Yeah, it does indeed. It's now my bedtime. Thank
right,
you
Michael,
for
I
all
will-
those who stopped by. Thank you for being in chat if you're in chat. Thank you for listening if you're listening. And we will catch you again next month with hopefully another full show. So thank you very much. And I shall kill the stream right now. Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Kill the stream.
Good night, everybody.
I'll kill the